How many youngsters you breed each year?
Each year it's difficult to say, sometimes 80, but sometimes 110. So this year I breed 90 to 100.
And you keep all the youngsters, you raise them in the year of birth, or you only train them?
I want to raise them when they born, in the year they born, but it depends on the weather, because in the summer my wife want to go to Turkey to vacation, I must go. So when I come from vacation, if the weather is good, I can train them and raise them. Also, because we have here, they call it here pie races. So they people for mostly for marathon fanciers, they bring them to Belgium, 100, 200 kilometers. So I try to give them to those races, but if I can't, then I bring them away from 100 kilometers, 110 kilometers.
By car?
By car, yeah, by myself, yeah.
And all the pigeons remain for the winter, or you select it also by hand or by...
I do not select by hand.
You don't select by hand?
No.
Also, when you put together your breeders, how do you make the pairs? You analyze by hand or by results, by origin?
It depends on, mostly by feeling. Sometimes I feel that hen must be paired with that cock, and sometimes I look at the pedigrees, I look at the bloodlines, and I say to myself, that one must be coupled to that one. Or sometimes I want to couple Batenburg to Kordeheide, or sometimes I say to myself, I must be couple Keesdroog to Jelle Jelleman. It depends on.
You keep the same breeding pair for more than 1 year, or you change every year the breeding couples?
I mostly change every year, but sometimes I breed very well good youngsters, and then I say to myself I must keep them together. It's Mother Nature wants that to be. That
so when you have good youngsters from a pair, you keep them for more than 1 year?
If I like the youngsters, because marathon pigeons must develop. You cannot see when they are 1 year, oh, it's a very good pigeon or not. If they are 2 years, then you can better select them in the hand. So that's also the reason why I not select them by hand when they are youngsters.
What sort of racing system you use? With a hood, nest?
Nest, mostly nest, because I don't have space. My loft is 7 meters. If you have to race with a hood, then you have to put the hens somewhere else, and that space I don't have, so I put them together. It's also easier for me. I can train them when I want, I can race them when I want. When I race with a hood, then I must calculate everything. When the cocks are home, the hens must be there, and when I leave the hens at home, they can pair with each other. So it's for me it's difficult, because I have a very busy job. So that's the way I use
nest system. At what age do you expect the best performance from a pigeon?
3 years.
At 3 years.
Yeah.
And what distance you basket the yearlings?
I basket the yearlings Narbonne, Zetelu, and that's for me almost 1100 kilometers, 1080.
So all yearlings must fly 1100 kilometers?
I try to, but when they, how do you call it, a pen, when they lose difficult feather, the last or too much, and I cannot raise them, then they stay at home. But I try to give all my yearlings Narbonne, but I did this year.
Okay, so at 3 years he must bring good results.
No, at 3 years I expect from them very good results, but when they are 2 years I expect something, let them see. Or maybe 700 kilometers, maybe or 900 kilometers, because I race them 2 times when they are 2 years. So I want to see something from them, or that they come home very fit, or they come good and are tired. or they come 2 times, not early but also not late, good at time. I want to see something. They must let me. I must think. When they are 3 years, they are strong. He's gonna surprise me. I must think about it of that pigeon.
How do you train the pigeons? You go only with the club, or you drive it yourself? In between the international races, for example, you train them by car or only at home around the loft?
I train them by car, I train them by loft, I train them by club, and I also we have here clubs. They train on Sunday. They bring them to Hang, and that's for me 120 kilometers. I give them to them on Sunday. I basket them on 8 o'clock. They're leaving. They let them go at 11 o'clock, so they come home at 1 o'clock. I give them to them. So I try to
keep them moving.
Keep them moving and try to get the best what is good for me, and not what is good for the club, that I bring them to the club because the club have enough pigeons or not. Earlier I thought so, I must bring them to the club because the club needs also pigeons and so, but now I stopped with that. I do everything what good is for myself and for my pigeons, and all the others I don't care anymore.
What aspects do you think are the most important to be successful with pigeons? What is the most important? 2, 3 things, I don't know.
You have to care pigeons like your kids, because when you are angry to your kids, they don't smile to you, and when you are angry to your birds, they cannot smile, but you cannot be angry to your birds. If they don't come early at home, you don't judge them. You must judge yourself. That's one thing. Second thing, you must feed them good, and you must train them good. Those are the 3 important things for me. And keep them healthy.
And the loft? Is it important?
Yeah, loft is very important. They must, how do you say that? When you do this to your loft, then your hand must be white.
The white dust. Okay.
White dust, yeah.
Pigeon dust.
Pigeon dust, yeah. And what I like most is pigeon shit. Shit must be nice.
Not to smell inside.
Not to smell. It must be 2 hours later. It must be dry. Then your loft is good.
Okay, so oxygen and it's
oxygen is very important, because when oxygen is not good, then pigeon is not healthy.
What about the feed? How do you feed the pigeons? Why do you say, because you say feeding is important?
I try to give the best feed, pigeon feed there is. Normally I gave them from other company feed, but this year I met buyers, and I like them a lot, buyers. So I try to give them a lot of feed together. I try to give them everything. In the season I don't care about money, because when you lose a good pigeon, it's
more than money.
Yeah, you lose more money if you calculate it with money. Cheap feed, cheap one is maybe 12 or 13 euro, but a very good pigeon feed is 20 euro. If you calculate over the whole racing season, 3 months or 4 months, it's maybe 200 euro. I think is it worth it? I think you can give them the best feed they like.
Before the basketing, you feed them somehow, you build up energy? Or?
I build up energy, yeah. I give them everything. I give them hennep seed, how do you say that? Wheat seed, joint. Hennep seed, yeah, hennep seed, and snoepzaad. I give them a lot, and peanuts, yeah, a lot of peanuts. Everything what's fat, I give them. Everything what I can buy, what fat is, I give them.
So on the nest, it's important to be able to eat as much as they want and anything they can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I learn them. to eat when they want. So not the only last 3 or 4 or 1 week I give them the whole day, but earlier also. I try to learn them they can eat when they want.
And what they want.
And what they want.
How do you keep the pigeons healthy? You treat them, you use natural products?
I usually, I don't use a lot of products, but I met last year, I earlier gave them Wonder Pigeon, but I met last year Herbots on the pigeon fair in Houten, and he gave me a little small bottle, what's good for the darm flora, and I give them that, and that's all what I give for pigeons.
And you don't need to treat them, they don't get sick.
They don't, no, they are wonderful. I like them. Feathers are good and they can eat a lot. When pigeons don't eat a lot, I'm afraid. I think what's going on, because sick people don't eat. Energetic people who train a lot, who are strong, they eat a lot. Like me.
Yeah, and like me.
So I try to give them the best feed, and I try to get them healthy, that they stay healthy. And when 2 weeks before a marathon race or 10 days, depends on my work when I can go, I go to a pigeon doctor. And I let them see, and he say me, you have to use this one, or you have to use this one, or he say, yeah, you have to, they are clean, then they are clean. So I always go.
You always go to check the vet?
Yeah.
To make sure that everything is okay?
To make sure that everything is good. Before the game starts, I don't want to get one goal in my own goal. It's not, so they must be 100%
ready.
And when they don't come home, I say, okay, you are a loser. And when they came home, I say, okay, when they are healthy and when I give them good training and food, then they can do it.
So the most important thing is very good pigeons,
yes.
A good loft, healthy pigeons, and good feed.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. For me, that's that. But if you have a good loft, if you have good pigeons, and very bad loft manager, and you give them good feed, you can be the first. It can be. Not always, but it can be. But when you have a good loft manager, when you give them very good feed, pigeon food, and when you have not the best pigeons, then you never be winner of the race. Never. I believe in that.
So pigeons is the most important thing?
Pigeon is the most important, yeah, of course, yeah. Pigeon is the most important.
What advice would you give to a fancier that is not so successful to become successful? What should we do?
Buy 2 pigeons. If you can buy 10 pigeons, don't buy 10 pigeons, only 2 pigeons. If you have the money for it, also don't do it. Only buy the best. That's the only advice I can give. If you buy by me or by someone else, pigeons is the most important. A donkey can never win a race from a horse. Okay, I'll give you the best feed or the best jockey. He never wins. Never.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.